Hole one's pretty stock. There's my aim point above that tree, and depending on the wind, you gotta crank a little bit of ante on it, and most of the time, you just gotta beat that tree on the corner. As you guys know, you don't want to be stuck on that corner, and I'm throwing the Explorer up the hill most of the time because I'm trying to err on the short side here. That should give you an easy birdie lick most of the time here. This is my hole 2 line. This is an extreme wind case. My aim point is on that orange tree, top arrow, just below the orange on the leaves, and throwing a little bit of hyzer or a little bit of anhyzer depending on the wind here. There is another way to play this hole with a backhand musket, and I actually do consider that. Sometimes I throw that, sometimes the low musket turnover. The aim point is the same, it's just a little bit lower, and you gotta force it over a little bit. That's a little bit more of a touchy shot, but this recoil line has been fairly consistent for me, so that's going to be my play tomorrow. Here's my hole 3 line. I'm aiming right above that hill there, and I'm trying to get this skip pretty much every single time. You got to get a little bit of hyzer on it. That should get you to around this point, and then I am going for the eagle here. This is a touchy shot because if you throw it too far over, you can end up in this shit. So you got to be careful with this. If you do end up in that shit, it's a pretty easy scramble for a 4, obviously. But this is the eagle play, and I'm trying to eagle this birdie at worst. Terrible putt there, but that's the basic play that I'm using here. This is my play on hole 4. I like to throw the Explorer, so it gets me to this lower shelf here. You got to be careful with that shot because you got to air right. I've had a few that missed to the left and went off the cliff, but the reason why I like the Explorer because it puts you on that lower shelf and then lets you line up that big turnover with the musket for an easy birdie. Here's my play on hole 5. I like to go with the default aim point, and I'm using the big skip drive, and for that wind was 3 crosswind to the right. You got to give it a lot of ante on the sidearm line. Here's a couple attempts I'm going to show through here. I just like the default aim point because it takes one less variable out of play there. I'm going to show it. I'm going to run it back a couple times. I think I restarted it a few times and kept getting this 3 wind here, but you gotta err to the left on that shot for sure, because if you miss left, sometimes you get lucky and it stays short of the Mando. But if you miss right, you're totally screwed. So again, I'm just clicking through a couple different winds to show how much ante you need to put on it based off of the wind. It's a really touch and feel kind of shot here, which I'm sure you guys are all familiar with playing this hole a million times. Again, I just like that default aim spot because it gives you like one component of consistency. It takes one of the 3 variables out of play, and instead of trying to figure out an exact aim point every single time, you're just messing with the pullback. And again, I kept on getting that 3 to the right, and you got to crank it over almost a little bit more than you think on the ante. So I think right here I was just trying to find the crosswind from right to left here. So I'll show you that you can almost pull it back straight on this. You still got to give a little ante. Another little tricky guy here, hole 6. I have 2 aim points. One's on that tree to the right side, and I'm trying to throw this hyzer down the right side and skip it inbounds. Usually I will only play that if the wind is from right to left. Here on this tree, here's a right to left wind, and I'm aiming on this tree, and I'm trying to hyzer. Honestly, I'm trying to hyzer before the tree. That first one got lucky, went behind it. You gotta give it a little bit hyzer to get behind it. My other aim point here is right above the bridge there, and I'm just trying to cut one down the center. This can be scary because they can skip out to the left, but those are my 2 aim points. The tree to the right, if there's a right to left crosswind. If there's a left to right crosswind, I'm trying to go down the center and push one right through there with the accurate glide. Explorer, I think that's the disc that you want to use for this one, so hopefully that will cash you in easy too. This is my aim point. You got to be careful on the right to left, because you got to crank it over a little bit almost more than you feel comfortable with. That was not my greatest attempt right there, but I'm still gonna cash an easy birdie out. I'm gonna run through just a couple quick random wins that I got while I was playing this hole. Throwing the accurate glide musket, I'm aiming at that orange tree, and then I'm just giving a little Annie. That one was almost straight, but you got to be careful. You need to get around this green tree that I'm passing by to the right hand side, so you do not want to miss to the inside of that green tree. And honestly, I've got a couple with the accurate glide musket that have been into eagle range, but here, if you're feeling frisky, I was throwing this big skip accurate musket on that same line and cranking it down here, and I've got a few to skip within eagle range. Again, you got to be extra careful if you try that option, because I've had them skip OB to the left there. So practice your drop zone shot, but that's the general. I think that's the safest play to give you an easy 3 on this hole. Orange tree, little Annie, get around the green tree to the right, and that should give you a very easy up and down on hole 8. Here's my line on hole 9. This should be pretty straightforward for everybody. I'm throwing the light glide rive. Usually trying to give it a little bit of Annie just to make sure that I get over. The one headwind you got to watch out for there is the 3 headwind, because I think I'll show at the end of this clip. I'm going to run through this a couple times. I don't think you can make it over with this backhand line with the light glide rive. This hole is pretty straightforward. The upshot can be a little bit tricky, but I'm actually going to skip ahead here and show that extreme headwind case. This is the 3 headwind case here. If you see this wind, we got to look out. So hopefully Reese will scout this for you. I don't think you can make it over straight over through that deep end of that pond there. So I did find, not this line, there's a forehand that will get you over. That one might have been safe. Actually, yeah, it was, but this forehand line got me over, not this shot. Yeah, maybe that shot. Yeah, you just got to play to the left side with the forehand and kind of crank one over, and that should get you pretty far up the gap there. I think I'm just going to throw it 1 or 2 more times here. Looks like I'm straight below the flag there on the basket, and I'm just cranking over Annie a little bit to make sure I clear to the left side there. And yeah, that's it. I hope nobody made it this far in the video, but if you did, here's me just putting it all together. And honestly, if you want to just start here, you can, and maybe I will just make this the whole video. There's my aim point on one. Again, going with the Explorer up the hill to keep it short. You want to always, I like that you got to err on the short side on that shot. I don't know if I said that earlier or not. That should hopefully be an easy birdie. And two, the Trickster. This is the hardest hole for me. I may have forgot about that. Little bit of a slide to the right there will give you just a touch more room to try to sneak one through that gap. So here should be an easy birdie. On to hole 3. I think I botched this shot. There's I aimed just a little bit too low on this shot, and is what will happen if you aim a little bit too low. And luckily, I get lucky, and I think it's possible to still eagle from here, but it looks like I'm just opting to lay up. If you get out of position on any of these holes, I think the smart thing to do is just take your medicine and try to settle for the par. Looks like I almost saved the eagle there. That was a decent attempt. Again, it might have been a little bit ill-advised. If I'm playing a competition round, I might not give that a bid like that just because a lot can go wrong. Here's my play again on hole 4. I just like this Explorer to put you on the lower shelf. It opens up that low line musket turnover. You can aim nice and low now and then just let that turnover rip all the way through. And most of the time it's safe because it's carrying to the left there and it's going to get you all the way up to the basket. I think that's the best play for this hole. On to hole 5 again, default aim. Give it a little ante, and that should go right through the Mando. Thank God they opened this up. This hole was giving me fits for a while, and now it's just a little bit easier to make it through every time. So still on track with all birdies. I think if I can shoot 7 under here during the competition, that will not be losing strokes to many people. Here is left to right 3 cross headwind, and again I went for the middle aim point because I'm not going to miss to the right if I try that hyzer line. I think that's the safer play in most, definitely for that wind. Hole 7. This should be pretty standard for everybody. I'm really trying to stay up this hill every single time. And on this upshot, did I show? I don't know if I showed this. I probably didn't show this in my original clip, but on this, it's all about this second shot. You got to err to the right side. You do not want to go OB left. Even if you end up in this crap where I did here, that's fine because I'm taking a par at worst. I think luckily I have a super nice shot up the hill here that will get me pretty close to an easy, which should be an easy putt for an easy birdie. On to hole 8. I think I finally figured this line out. This is the safest play here. Musket. Oh, I went with the big skip, and I went inside. This is what happens when you go inside. It's super scary, but that's how you get the eagle. I don't know what made me decide to run the eagle on this one, on this attempt. I probably won't do that during the competition round. And then last but not least, pretty stock and standard hole 9 though. This hole has been known to give me fits from time to time. And so like I said, I'm trying to get worst 7 under, but I'd like to shoot 9 under here. And if I can get anything better than that, that would be great. But that's my run through. It's a long ass video. Thanks for sitting through, and take care. Good luck. Have fun.